Hi, I'm Jen Childs from Penguin Random House Library Marketing, and we're so thrilled to be here to present to you our fall staff picks from some of our favorite forthcoming titles. We've got some great books to share with you today. Um, You'll see on the slides as we move forward that we have a handy dandy format key, which indicates all the various formats that our books will be available in, whether it be hardcover, ebook, audio, large print. We also have an orange E, which indicates that the eGalley is available for request, usually both on NetGalley or Edelweiss. So please do check when you see that E. And if you're watching this later, these are the e-galleys that are available at the time of this recording. But of course, as we move forward, you can always check. They may be available then.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Fabian, and if at the end of the recording you find yourself in need of more staff picks, we are happy to oblige. We have our morning book buzz the first Wednesday of every month, where you can learn about our latest and most favorite titles coming out.
And hi, I'm Kelly Coyle-Crivelli, and because we never run out of books to talk about, we created in January of this past year a program called Library Lunch and Learn, where we focus more on nonfiction titles and topics such as health and science, management, leadership, cooking, all sorts of things mostly for your nonfiction shelves. And these are always hosted or have a special guest star that's a librarian and authors talking about their books that are topical for the theme for that month. So for the next month we have coming up in June, we have Pride Month. So that will be about titles that are focusing on Pride Month. And then towards the rest of the summer, we have an art and photography session coming up. We have a cooking session coming up. So we hope that you will join us for our new program called Library Lunch and Learn.
Hi, everyone. I'm Erica Melnichuk. Thanks so much for listening. Don't miss our issue page. You won't want to miss all of our resources that we've archived that are beautifully designed, downloadable, and at your fingertips for all your collection development and reader's advisory planning and so much more. It includes digital versions of our book club brochures, excerpt samplers, and it's a whole variety of resources that we've curated just for you.
And we always like to help our audiobook listeners with reader listening advisory. So check out our Books on Tape website. You will be able to see what's coming out in audio form, who the narrators are. You'll get a clip of the audiobook and just be able to keep up with all the things that are going on in our audiobook world. We know audiobooks are super popular right now, and we want to make sure that you have all of the information that you might need. So check out booksontape.com.
Okay, now on to the books. As you can imagine, it's really tough to pick 4 books to share out of all of the books that Penguin Random House publishes, but I did my best. My first pick is from the best-selling author of The Dog Stars, one of my favorites, and The River, Peter Heller, who returns with The Guide. This is another gripping and lyrical novel set in the great outdoors. Kingfisher Lodge, nestled in a canyon on 1.5 miles of the most pristine river water on the planet, is known by locals as the Billionaire's Mile. It's locked behind a heavy gate, sandwiched between barbed wire and a meadow with a sign that reads, "Don't get shot." The resort boasts boutique fishing at its finest. Safe from viruses that have plagued America for years, Kingfisher offers a respite for wealthy clients. Now it also promises a second chance for Jack, a return to normalcy after a young life filled with loss. But when he's assigned as a guide to a well-known singer, his only job is to rig her line, carry her gear, and steer her to the best trout he can find. But then a human scream pierces the night, and Jack soon realizes that this idyllic fishing lodge may be merely a cover for a far more sinister operation. This is a thrilling novel, perfect for readers of Cormac McCarthy and fans of A River Runs Through It. Next is Beautiful Country. This is a memoir from Qian Julie Wang, perfect for readers of Educated, The Glass Castle, and Angela's Ashes. In Chinese, the word for America, Mei Go, translates directly to beautiful country. Yet when 7-year-old Ken arrives in New York City in 1994, she's overwhelmed by crushing fear and scarcity. In China, Ken's parents were professors. In America, her family is illegal, and it will require all the determination and small joys they can muster to survive. In Chinatown, Ken's parents work in sweatshops and sushi factories. Instead of laughing at her jokes or watching her sing and dance, they fight constantly. Ken goes to school hungry, where she teaches herself English through library books. Strong and resilient Mama ignores her own pain until she's unable to stand, too afraid of the cost and attention a hospital visit might bring. And yet young Ken, now acting as her mother's nurse, her family's translator, a student and a worker, cannot ask for help. The #1 rule in America still stands. To be noticed is to risk losing everything. Searing and unforgettable, Beautiful Country is an essential American story about a family fracturing under the weight of invisibility and a girl coming of age in the shadows who never stops seeking the light. And then the first Black person ever to win the Nobel Prize in Literature now gives us a tour de force in Chronicles from the Land of the Happiest People on Earth, his first novel in nearly half a century, a savagely satiric, gleefully irreverent, rollicking fictional meditation on how power and greed can corrupt the soul of a nation. In an imaginary Nigeria, a cunning entrepreneur is selling body parts stolen from Dr. Menka's hospital for use in ritualistic practices. Dr. Menka shares the grisly news with his oldest college friend, Bon Viveur star engineer and Yoruba royal Duyol Pitton Payne. He's the life of every party and is about to assume a prestigious post at the United Nations in New York. It now seems that someone is determined that he not make it there. Neither Dr. Menka nor Duyol knows why or how close the enemy is or how powerful. Chronicles from the Land of the Happiest People on Earth is at once a literary hoot, a crafty whodunit, and a scathing indictment of political and social corruption. It's a stirring call to arms against the abuse of power from one of our fiercest political activists, who just happens to be a global literary giant. Toni Morrison said of the author, "You don't see things the same way when you encounter a voice like that." And then finally, How to Live, What to Do is ideal for readers of books like Books for Living, Love's Executioner, and How Proust Can Change Your Life. Focusing on some of the best-known characters in all of literature, chosen to trace the arc from childhood to old age, Josh Cohen, a brilliant psychoanalyst and professor of literature, shows how our inner lives become at once stranger and more familiar when seen through the prism of fiction. He helps us see what Lewis Carroll's Alice or Harper Lee's Scout Finch can teach us about childhood. He delineates the mysteries of education instanced in Jane Eyre or Sandy Stranger in the prime of Miss Jean Brodie. The need for adolescent rebellion dramatized by John Grimes in James Baldwin's Go Tell It on the Mountain, and Ruth in Ishiguro's Never Let Me Go. How Jay Gatsby helps us to understand ambition, Middlemarch's Dorothea Brooke, the vicissitudes of marriage, and Mrs. Dalloway, the inexorability of disappointment. As for old age and death, he explores what wisdom we may glean from John Ames in Marilyn Robinson's Gilead or Don Fabricio in The Leopard. From maddening jealousy to unbearable grief, from transcendent love to bottomless hatred, How to Live, What to Do invites us to ponder deep questions about the human experience, about the ties that bind us all. And that's it for me.
Hi, I am very excited to kick off my 4 fall picks with Lore Olympus Volume 1, a stylish and contemporary reimagining of one of mythology's best-known stories from creator Rachel Smith. Persephone, the young goddess of spring, is new to Olympus. Her mother, Demeter, has raised her in the mortal realm. But after Persephone promises to train as a sacred virgin, she's allowed to live in the fast-moving, glamorous world of the gods. When her roommate, Artemis, takes her to a party, her entire life changes. She ends up meeting Hades and feels an immediate spark with the charming and misunderstood ruler of the underworld. Now Persephone must navigate the confusing politics and relationships that rule Olympus while also figuring out her own place and her power. This is mythology filled with scandalous gossip, wild parties, and forbidden love. Didn't you always wonder what the gods did after dark? This book has so many audiences. Fans of Lore Olympus on the original Webtoon platform will certainly come to this because the volume collects episodes 1 through 25 and includes a brand new exclusive short story. Graphic novel readers will come to it too. But this is also for fans of modern updates to mythological stories like Circe and the Witch's Heart. And it's also for fans of romantic retellings like Malice, Uprooted, and The Bear and the Nightingale. And there's even more exciting news because not only will this be the first book in a series, but the Jim Henson Company is currently developing Lore Olympus for a streaming show on Netflix. So the already huge fan base is only going to grow. Next is a book that's poised to be a media event across the globe. 1,000 Years of Joys and Sorrows is the widely anticipated memoir from Ai Weiwei, one of the world's most famous artists and activists, and tells the century-long epic tale of China through the story of his own extraordinary life and the legacy of his father, Ai Qing, the nation's most celebrated poet. Once an intimate of Mao Zedong, Ai Weiwei's father was branded a rightist during the Cultural Revolution, and he and his family were banished to a desolate place known as Little Siberia. Ai Weiwei recounts his childhood in exile and his difficult decision to leave his family to study art in America, where he befriended Allen Ginsberg and was inspired by Andy Warhol. He details his return to China and his rise from an artistic unknown to an art world superstar and international human rights activist, and how his political activism has made him a target of the Chinese authorities, which culminated in months of secret detention without charge in 2011. Here, for the first time, Ai Weiwei explores the origins of his exceptional creativity, how his work has been shaped by living under a totalitarian regime, and his passionate political beliefs. It's a book that is at once ambitious and intimate. Here, too, is a book with many audiences. Readers of activists like Nelson Mandela, readers of biographies of provocative artists like Warhol and Pollock and de Kooning. But this book will also find a home with those interested in the nuanced look at modern China, like those offered in books such as Factory Girls and Rivertown. And this gorgeous cover has been designed by Ai Weiwei himself. Next is another book whose announcement has already made headlines and is also poised to be a huge event at publication. The 1619 Project, A New Origin Story, edited by Nicole Hannah-Jones and the New York Times Magazine. This book, coming in November, builds on one of the most consequential journalistic events of recent years, the New York Times Magazine's award-winning 1619 Project, which reframed our understanding of American history by placing slavery and its continuing legacy at the center of our national narrative. Here, the book substantially expands on the original 1619 Project, weaving together 18 essays that explore the legacy of slavery in present-day America with 36 poems and works of fiction that illuminate key moments of oppression, struggle, and resistance. The essays show how the inheritance of the 1619 Project reaches into every part of contemporary American society, from politics, music, diet, traffic, and citizenship, to capitalism, religion, and democracy itself. This legacy can be seen in the way we tell stories, the way we teach our children, and the way we remember. The book also features a significant elaboration on the original project's Pulitzer Prize-winning lead essay by Nicole Hannah-Jones on how the struggles of Black Americans have expanded democracy for all Americans. The 1619 Project is a book that speaks directly to our current moment, contextualizing the systems of race and caste which we operate in today. And the children's imprint Kalika will publish a simultaneous picture book for young readers called The 1619 Project, Born on the Water. And last but not least is The Maid, a debut novel for fans of Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine, The Thursday Murder Club, The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, and The Magpie Murders. Molly Gray is not like anyone else. She struggles with social skills and misinterprets the intentions of others. Her gran used to interpret the world for her, codifying it into simple rules that Molly could live by. But since Gran died a few months ago, 25-year-old Molly has to navigate life's complexities all by herself. So, she throws herself with gusto into her work as a hotel maid. Her unique character, along with her obsessive love of cleaning and proper etiquette, make her an ideal fit for the job. She delights in donning her crisp uniform each morning, stocking the cart with miniature soaps and bottles, and returning guest rooms at the Regency Grand Hotel to a state of perfection. But Molly's orderly life is turned on its head the day she enters the suite of the infamous and wealthy Charles Black, only to find it in a state of disarray and Mr. Black himself dead in his bed. Before she knows what's happening, Molly's unusual demeanor has the police targeting her as the lead suspect. But fortunately for Molly, friends she never knew she had unite with her in search of clues to what really happened to Mr. Black. This is a book that's perfect for book clubs. The Maid is both a clue-like locked room mystery and a heartwarming journey of the spirit, an exploration of what it means to find connection and community. Thank you.
Hi again, everyone. My first pick for you today is Monster in the Middle by Tiffany Yanique, the award-winning author of Land of Love and Drowning. She has now written an electric and ambitious new novel that maps the emotional inheritance of one couple newly in love. When Fly and Stella meet in 21st century New York City, it seems like fate. He's a Black American musician from a mixed religious background who knows all about heartbreak. She's a Catholic science teacher from the Caribbean looking for lasting love. But are they meant to be? The answer goes back decades, all the way to their parents' earliest loves. Vibrant and emotionally riveting, Monster in the Middle moves across decades from the US to the Virgin Islands to Ghana and back again to show how one couple's romance is intrinsically influenced by the family lore and love stories that preceded their own pairing. What challenges and traumas must this new couple inherit? What hopes and ambitions will keep them moving forward? Exploring desire and identity, religion and class, passion and obligation, the novel posits that in order to answer the question, who are we meant to be with, we must first understand who we are and how we came to be. This is recommended for readers of Edwidge Danticat, Nicole Dennis-Benn, and Jessamine Ward. Next, I'm really excited to share with you Still Life by Sarah Winman, the acclaimed author of Tin Man. Published with great acclaim, her 2018 debut novel was a Library Reads pick and beloved by the likes of authors Matt Haig, Rachel Joyce, and Stephen Rowley. Here she has written a captivating, lively new novel of people brought together across 4 decades of love, war, art, flood, and the ghost of E.M. Forster. Tuscany in 1944. As Allied troops advance and bombs fall around deserted villages, a young English soldier, Ulysses Temper, finds himself in the wine cellar of a deserted villa. There he has a chance encounter with Evelyn Skinner, a middle-aged art historian who has come to Italy to salvage paintings from the ruins and recall long-forgotten memories of her own youth. In each other, Ulysses and Evelyn find a kindred spirit among the rubble of war-torn Italy and set off on a course of events that will shape Ulysses' life for the next 4 decades. With beautiful prose and extraordinary tenderness, and bursts of humor and light, Still Life is a sweeping portrait of unforgettable individuals who come together to make a family, and a richly drawn celebration of beauty and love in all its forms. This is perfect to place in the hands of readers of John Boyne, Amor Towles, and Anthony Dower. And my next title for you, Fiona and Jane by Jean Chen Ho, is a real gem. Early readers here at the virtual office, have been extremely passionate and have fully embraced this witty, warm, and irreverent book that traces the lives of 2 young Taiwanese American women as they navigate friendship, sexuality, identity, and heartbreak over 2 decades. Best friends since 2nd grade, Fiona Lin and Jane Shen explore the lonely highways and seedy bars of Los Angeles together through their teenage years. Headed for New York City, Fiona was always destined to leave, her effortless beauty burnished by fierce ambition, qualities that best friend Jane admired and feared in equal measure. Jane remains behind in California and grieves her estranged father's sudden death, in the process alienating her overzealous girlfriend. Strained by distance and unintended betrayals, the women float in and out of each other's lives, their friendship with a beacon of home and a reminder of all they've lost. In 10 finely drawn stories, Jean Chen Ho's debut collection peels back the layers of female friendship, the intensity, the resentment, and boundless love, and offers an invaluable glimpse into the nuances of class and gender from a very specific Asian American point of view, in stunning language that is precise, contemporary, and compulsively readable. And lastly, my final title for you today is Small World by Jonathan Evison. Jonathan is the beloved and best-selling author of titles such as West of Here, The Revised Fundamentals of Caring, and It's Your Life, Harriet Chance. Set in alternating scenes between the present-day travelers on a train and their ancestors more than a century before, Small World explores the great American experiment from its formative days to the present moment and asks whether or not our nation has made good on its promises. Small World is a sprawling chronicle of 170 years of American nation building from numerous points of view across place and time. The result is a historical epic with a Dickensian flair and grand entertainment set against iconic backdrops such as the California Gold Rush, the development of the Continental Railroad, and a speeding train of strangers who don't realize the history they have brought together in one place. This is perfect for readers who love connecting with unforgettable character stories, such as In My Sunshine Away by Emma Walsh and Less by Andrew Sean Greer. It's a timely discussion of cultural change. As immigrants arrive in America and stay, their stories and those of their descendants resonate. That's the story this book's characters tell. And that's all from me for now. Thank you so much for listening.
Hi, everybody. We love to add to your TBR piles as we add to our own. I just wrote down several that I'm definitely adding to mine as well. So one thing that never changes about these buzzes is that we never run out of great books to talk to you about. And also, whenever I do a presentation, my dog decides to snore incredibly loud in the background. But you can hear her, I apologize. So I've got 4 books to talk to you about, which I could have picked way more than this, but I tried to pick a little bit of something for everyone. And the first book I'm going to be talking about is going to be A Media Frenzy. It was supposed to be published in September, but they moved it up to June 22nd because of the demand. And it is called The Storm is Upon Us. Its messaging can seem cryptic, yet for tens of thousands of people, it explains everything. This book is about QAnon. What is QAnon? Where did it come from? And is the Capitol insurgency a sign of where it's going next? In The Storm Upon Us, Mike Rothschild takes readers from the background conspiracies and cults that fed the Q phenomenon to its embrace by right-wing media through the rendering of families as loved ones became addicted to Q's increasingly violent rhetoric to the storming of the Capitol and on. And as the phenomenon shows no signs of calming, with everyone from baby boomers to millennial moms proving susceptible to its messaging and politicians starting to openly espouse its ideology, Rothschild makes a compelling case that mocking the seeming madness of QAnon will get us nowhere. Rather, his impassioned reportage makes clear it's time to figure out what QAnon really is, because QAnon and its relentlessly dark theory of everything isn't done yet. So like I said, this is going to be everywhere in the media, and you want to make sure you get this on your shelf. Next up is switching gears quite a bit, is our very beloved historical fiction genre, and this is perfect for a great summer read. Getting towards the end of the summer, it's got a lot to it. It's incredibly well written. It's written by an Edgar Award-winning author, and it is an eye-opening and poignant new mystery set in 1944 Chicago. It's the story of a young woman searching for the truth about her revered older sister's death. It brings to focus the struggles of one Japanese American family released from mass incarceration at Manzanar during World War II. 20-year-old Aki Ito and her parents have just been released from Manzanar, where they have been detained by the US government since the aftermath of Pearl Harbor. together with thousands of other Japanese Americans. And then their life in the life they had in California, they were forced to leave, it's gone. And instead they are being resettled 2,000 miles away in Chicago, where Aki's older sister Rose was sent months earlier and moved to the new Japanese American neighborhood near Clark and Division Streets. But on the eve of the Ito's family reunion, Rose is killed by a subway train. Aki, who worshipped her sister, is stunned. Officials are ruling Rose's death as a suicide, and Aki cannot believe her perfect, polished, and very optimistic sister would end her own life. Her instinct tells her there is much more to the story, and she knows she is the only person who could ever learn the truth. This is inspired by historical events, and Clark and Division infuses an atmospheric and heartbreakingly real crime fiction plot with rich period details and delicately wrought personal stories. And it's been gleaned from 30 years of research and archival work in Japanese American history. So it's the kind of book that reads like a mix between historical fiction and true crime, and the research is incredible. The book itself is beautiful with these beautiful maps, and it's really going to be perfect for thriller readers and for book clubs. And the book is so timely. Next up is a book I'm really excited to talk to you about. I'm actually I'm in the middle of this one now, or like first quarter of it now, and they describe it as dark matter meets annihilation in this mind-bending and emotional speculative thriller set in a world where the exact moment of your death can be predicted for a price. Our narrator is the most talented salesperson at Dare to Know, an enigmatic company that has developed the technology to predict anyone's death down to the second. Divorced, estranged from his sons, and broke, he's driven to violate the cardinal rule of the business by forecasting his own death day. The problem, his prediction says he died 23 minutes ago. The only person who can confirm its accuracy is Julia, the woman he loved and lost during his rise up the ranks in Dare to Know. As he travels across the country to see her, he's forced to confront his past, the choices he's made, and the terrifying truth about the company he works for. Wildly ambitious and highly immersive, this mind-bending thriller explores the destructive power of knowledge and collapses the boundaries between reality, myth, and conspiracy as it races towards its own shocking conclusion. It does have that same fast-paced thriller feel as Dark Matter, where you're so immersed in what's going on and you have no idea how it's going to end. So it's a race to the finish. It's really fun. And the last book for me is Palmares and by Gail Jones. And this is the epic rendering of a Black woman's journey through slavery and liberation set in 17th century colonial Brazil. And it's the return of a major voice in American literature. First discovered and edited by Toni Morrison, Gail Jones has been described as one of the great literary writers of the 20th century. Now, for the first time in over 20 years, Jones is ready to publish again. Palmares is also the first of 5 new works by Gail Jones to be published within the next 2 years, rewarding longtime fans and bringing her talent to a new generation of readers. Intricate and compelling, Palmares recounts the journey of Almeida, a Black slave girl who comes of age on Portuguese plantations and escapes to a fugitive slave settlement called Palmares. Following its destruction, Almeida embarks on a journey across colonial Brazil to find her husband lost in the battle. Combining the author's mastery of language and voice with her unique brand of mythology and magical realism, Jones reimagines the historical novel. The result is a sweeping saga spanning a quarter of a century with vibrant settings and unforgettable characters steeped in the rich oral tradition of its world. Of Gail Jones, the New Yorker said, her great achievement is to reckon with both history and interiority, and to collapse the boundary between them. Like nothing else before, Palmares embodies this gift. We're really excited for this book, and we're really excited about the return of Gail Jones, and we will be presenting more of her titles at a later date. And that is all for me, and that's all from all of us, and we hope you are ready to read all these great titles coming up for the fall of 2021. And thank you so much, as always, for joining us. Have a great day.